Hard-working Aussies are fed up with it. People are looking for the anti-woke alternatives. Some years ago, you'll remember all the kerfuffle over this character, the so-called preference whisperer. It was as if he had some magical powers that he could swing elections. Well, the truth is we all have those magical powers. We just have to use those powers carefully and wisely, electorate by electorate, vote by vote. We need to ignore the how-to-vote cards that are handed out on the day by all the parties and instead create our own how-to-vote cards to get the very best candidates into our parliament. Here are a few tips from a variety of sources I've been cobbling together to help us do just that. David Adler is the head of the Australian Jewish Association. He released this video this week.
I'm now going to start filling it in. There are 7 candidates. So I record firstly the number 7 next to the Greens candidate. So everything else after that I can't comment on. So our recommendation to you is in every electorate, in every state, House of Representatives, Senate, put the Greens last, and after that, make up your own mind, but consider the candidates. The Greens are the only political party in this country to formally reject the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism. There is a very strong argument that that makes them institutionally anti-Semitic, the worst of the worst amongst the most extreme political movements in the world.
Perfect. Start from the bottom and work your way up. I love it. Greens last on every ballot paper in the country. Yes. Then it gets tricky. You have 2 ballot papers to fill in, one for your local MP, the other for your state senators. On the House of Representative ballots, that's for your local MP, you have to number every square. So let's keep working our way up from the bottom, as Dave Adler suggests. Who goes second last on every House of Reps ballot? Well, listen to Michael Kroger on the topic of the Climate 200 candidates, who are running in a handful of electorates financed by the billionaire renewables investor Simon Holmes-A-Court, son of the billionaire Janet Holmes-A-Court.
Fast forward to 2011. Janet Holmes-A-Court, she signs a letter saying that Israel, in order to help with the 2-state solution, Israel should negotiate with Hamas. 2017, Janet Holmes-A-Court says Benjamin Netanyahu, the Jewish Prime Minister of Israel, should not be allowed to visit, shouldn't come here to Australia. And we see Zoe Daniels' disgusting comments, staff members of other independents, particularly Allegra Spender, saying shocking things about the Holocaust, Hitler. This is all stuff impliedly criticising Jews. 4 of Israel's strongest supporters amongst the government, 4 candidates who are very close to the Jewish community in this country, are being opposed by Simon Holmes-A-Court sponsored candidates.
There you go. Now, where was I? Yes, I was talking about how you can start at the bottom, put the Greens at the bottom, and work your way up to the top. And we'll get to the top shortly. So I've just said, wherever you see one of these teal, this is these Climate 200 Simon Holmes-A-Court mob, put them second last, right at the bottom of the heap, of the scrap heap, next to the Greens, down there where they belong. Now, working our way up the ballot paper, this is the House of Reps, the lower house ballot, from the bottom. Next, I would definitely be putting the local Labor candidate. So our bottom 3 in the House of Reps are the Greens, Climate 200 and Labor. Okay. Now this is where the preference system gets fun. There's a new website out called Put the Majors Last. You can check it out at majorslast.com. Regardless of whether you agree with the basic philosophy or not of that, the website does provide a very handy interactive service for every voter in every single electorate, both House, Senate and House of Reps, to play around with. It allows you to simply and effortlessly create your own how-to-vote card based on the kind of government you would like to see. Here's how it works.
So it asks you 2 questions. In this election, which minor party or independent would you like to preference? Now, it does the lower house first and then the Senate, you'll see. So let's say my favourite is One Nation. And then they ask, who did you vote for in the last election? Liberal, like many of us here. Then you press submit. Now it prints you a how to vote card right there. These are all the candidates in your local electorate. Okay, these are the ones going for the lower house. Now you can move these around to please yourself, or you can move these around as well, right? Then you press continue to Senate. Then you go to the Senate. So these are all the senators.
Now, the group behind this Major's last website is Reignite Australia, who are running their own candidates, and obviously you can vote for them or not. It's up to you. But the website is superb in not only giving you a clear understanding of who is in your electorate, but allows you to create your own how to vote card with your preferences based on how you have voted in the past and how you intend to vote in the future. It also allows you to thoughtfully prepare how you intend to vote well in advance without all the emotion, distraction, people at the polling booths and all that stuff. Now, I mentioned before, why didn't One Nation, Clive Palmer and Craig Kelly's UAP and Campbell Newman's Liberal Democrats form a glorious coalition? It doesn't matter that they couldn't get it together, because you can. If you are thinking of voting for One Nation, UAP or the Lib Dems, don't just vote for one of them, vote for all three of them in any order but 1, 2 and 3 in the House of Reps. That's what this other initiative floating around on social media suggests. It's called Australia's Universal How to Vote card. I actually think it would be better labelled as the anti-woke How to Vote card. And it's perfect if you want a Liberal government, but you have a woke, climate-obsessed or so-called moderate Liberal as your local MP, in which case put One Nation, UAP and the Lib Dems in any order as your number 1, 2 and 3 choices. This ensures that your first preferences remain within those three. You have literally made them a potential vote-winning anti-woke, anti-climate coalition. Then put the Nationals in number 4, suggests this graph, then any other minor non-climate candidates, then the woke climate-obsessed Liberal candidate, and then the Labor candidate, always underneath the Liberal candidate, and then the rat bags, the Climate 200 or Greens, etc. at the bottom. So in Wentworth, for example, you vote Daniel Lukowitz for the Lib Dems number 1, Natalie Doomer for the UAP 2, One Nation for 3, then Dave Sharma, then Labor, then under Labor, Allegra Spender, then the Greens right at the bottom. If enough people vote in this fashion, in a reverse woke, reverse climate change fashion, we will not only get a better Liberal government, but a better Liberal party than the one we have had, because with any luck, there will be 1 or 2 anti-woke, anti-climate MPs in the lower house. Now, we get to the Senate. You can either vote above the line 1 to 6 for your choice of the parties, or you can vote below the line from a minimum of 12 of your own preferred candidates and ignore the party how to vote cards. Interestingly, back in 1901, there were no party names, just the names of the individuals standing. You voted for the person you had heard of and who had impressed you the most, full stop. If you use that website I mentioned earlier, you can find out who all the Senate candidates are in your state where you live, and you vote for the 12 senators in the order of who you think are the best and most anti-woke, anti-climate, regardless of the party recommendations. For instance, you might think the number 3 Liberal candidate, as I said earlier, Amanda Stoker, is way better than their number 1 candidate. So you vote in that order. That's what you want. As an example, let's take the Amanda Stoker example. There are terrific candidates in Queensland. Amanda Stoker, Matt Canavan, there's Pauline Hanson, there's Campbell Newman, there's George Christensen, there's others I can think of. So you put them in the order of your preferences below the line, 1 to 12. It's that easy. Or in New South Wales, make sure you put John Ruddock from the Liberal Democrats as your first choice. Jacinta Price is your first choice. She's with the Liberals in the Northern Territory. As I say, if you haven't heard of them, or they haven't impressed you, or they are cowards, or they spout woke garbage, don't vote for that individual. The more an individual senator has impressed you, the higher they should go on your below-the-line ballot paper. But you must fill in all 12 boxes. We only get one stab at creating the government of our choice every 3 years. If you want better candidates in Parliament, if you want a better government, if you want a better Liberal Party, choose carefully, choose wisely. But you, this time, can be the preference whisperer.